Bienvenue, willkommen, bienvenidos, and welcome back to Crawler Canyon's presentation of the Invitational. The Invitational is, of course, a no-holds-barred, six-gate sort of affair in which every rig has the opportunity to go into mortal combat with every other rig. There are no handicaps. Some of the gates are potentially impassable, and some stuff is probably going to get broken. So sit back and prepare yourself for the spills, chills, and thrills to be found within the Invitational. Scoring is, as always was, 7 points for a gate strike, 10 points for a rollover, and 2 points for a reverse. There are no gate points, so a perfect score on a run is 0. So now that you know what you need to know, get ready for the next group in the next round of the Invitational. And we're back at it again for Group C of Two-Factor Obliteration. Group C, of course, composed of, apparently, rigs that don't like fenders. Group C, the trio of Lil Yella, the Tranquish, and closing it out, Daphne. Until we stumble upon a better means to accomplish this, we will continue to resort to the spinner. And today, the spinner chooses, for first and the first and last, the Tranquish. Which means, of course, we spin it again to choose the monkey in the middle, as it were, who will go in the middle for both sections. See, that's just too good of a bearing. Like you'd think it's gonna, oh, and it does stop on Daphne. Daphne will be running middle for both sections. First up in the Giant and the Beast is, of course, as chosen by the spinner, the Tranquish. And as I'm sure has been mentioned before, but we'll mention it again to give a little color to the proceedings. The Tranquish is, of course, a VS4-10 chassis, Amazon Dig gearbox, TRX-4 lockable axles, JConcepts Landmines. Oh, and a JConcepts tucked body on top, which was a bit of a painting nightmare. The Mission Models paints purportedly approved for polycarbonate, but we did not have good fortune with those. Tranquish passes through Gate 1 with pretty much no difficulty, and I believe due to the portal gained ground clearance, shouldn't have too much of an issue here at Gate 2. I don't know if anyone so far, we're only in Group C, but I don't know if anyone has actually struck Gate 2. We keep a mental database of these things because, I mean, you don't want all 6 gates to be borderline impassable, but you don't want 2 or 3 of the 6 gates to be just drive-throughs. Like this center section here, which can do that to a rig. People have been pretty lucky so far landing in the tunnel, the canyon, the trough, whatever it may be. Tranquish is going to try a little dig maneuver to try to pull up on this. The problem is the bottom of the trough is dirt and it's very loose, but Landmines will pull you up pretty much anything to anywhere. Another dig to pivot onto the bridge. Should come through here pretty easily. The Tranquish flirts with disaster in a number of ways. The rig is tall. I think it's around a square. It's about as tall as it is wide. It luckily does have its weight relatively low. It's trying to see if it can pull a dig around here, but that that dirt corner is blown out badly and is getting more blown out every time a round runs through here. And that's just the luck of the draw. I think Argentum did most of the damage here back in Group A. And it's just not letting stuff push you off to one side or the other and trying not to get Austin powered when you drop in on the other side. Tranquish has been making pretty quick work of this up so far. It's already cleared through 4 gates. The transition here is the most difficult part because the section between gates 5 and 6 is a big knob, and if your tires catch, you will land in the bucket, and no one is getting out of that. So the Tranquish with a very unanticipated rollover, a little 4S fueled pop there. He's going to come back up, and depending on the suspension setup of the rigs in question, some folks, when they drop in right there, when the tire goes into the bucket, some rigs pull out of it just fine. Others, because it unloads the front end so much, it ends up really giving them the swirl. And Tranquish is getting the swirl here, but thanks to a body mounted as low as can physically be mounted on that, we watched this many times, and there it was. 1 rollover, 1 gate, 17 points. He was 90% of the way through. He was 99% of the way through the run and clipped that gate. Here comes Daphne. Daphne of the group, one could argue, has the least gear. She has one of the more powerful servos of the group, but doesn't have dig. She's running a small Traxxas supplied amount of rear underdrive. She's the only rig running not JConcepts tires on the day. She is not far removed from a as it comes out of the box TRX-4 Sport. Wheels and tires are everything. The outrunner really did bring her to life. She's the second lowest KV outrunner of the entire group. And losing all that rear weight obviously helped. The problem with Daphne being a cab is she falls into the same category as the Tranquish, where, well, all three in this group, really, when they roll, there's not really that much chance to get out of it. She was perfectly socketed in. So we have back-to-back rollovers. Daphne is going to try to lower line. Daphne loves taking lines that other rigs ordinarily don't attempt. And this section here, beyond the looseness and beyond the just bits of vertical, it's so chopped up that you're probably going to end up in the tunnel. She got double lucky there, landed on the wheels for one, landed facing what is essentially the correct direction for the other. So she will be attacking this the same way the Tranquish did, swing it back around, try to pull up to here. A little bit better angle from this camera. There's just a spot where you will fall in. So she opts to take a small reverse, and I think if she had it to do over again, she would have taken the big reverse and just backed it all the way back out. Instead, she gives herself a little more hazards where she has to drive all the way around. Just don't want to take another reverse hit that early on. Once again, Daphne with another line, really tight up to gate 5, trying to stay up high. She still has not cleared gate 3. Trying to servo wiggle that front end out. Does not clip gate 5, which is a live gate, as she has not made it to it yet. Pretty high up. Little power burst to get across to the bridge. She's doing reasonably well. It's just not, it's not a pretty run up till now. Now we'll see how the deep woods manage on a very loose surface. Daphne does not even make an attempt to pull it around. She's just going to come attack it from the right-hand side, which is how virtually everyone has done it up till this point. Deepwood's doing well there. Really pivoted the front end around well. Question is she too far to the left? Little servo shimmy there. Some veteran moves from the veteran Daphne. Pulls inside that gate without too much issue. Having no body, no overhang in the back. She doesn't get hung up there. She's going to come up towards 5. Not getting the highest amount of traction here. No tire is perfect on every terrain. She's now kind of, she's gotten that marker in between the wheels. Just managed to squeeze past it. Now the gate is clear, so she can hit it, because we do dead gates here. And she actually didn't even hit it. So even had 5 remained live, she would have cleared it anyway. The whine of the outrunner swings her around. See how she manages the bucket here. She's also CMS, 2 chassis-mounted servos in this group. Only 1 servo and axle. See, she drops in, but not nearly the upswing that the Tranquish had. So she clears gate 6 with no problem. Finishes her first run with 3 reverses and 1 rollover for a total of 16 points. I'm sure she'd love to get that rollover back. I'm sure everyone that gets a rollover would love to get their rollover back, but I think it might not have been pretty, but I think she did really quite well there. Straight out onto the course, Lil Yella fitted with the JConcepts holds. And the hold really is a dig and bump tire. It's quite remarkable. It's the bars. It's the bars and the shape of the shoulder of the tire. All of the, let's call it angular momentum, comes from those corner lugs. And its ability to dig and pivot is all due to the fact that the bars are just straight. Yella has got a ton of front steering angle. See how he manages falling off the end here. A little sun flare there. Little dig, but it's just the right amount of drop. Another little application of dig, pivoting it around. Comes through there no problem. And now we'll get to see how holds manage very loose dirt. Yella going for the dig right away, but just skates across. You can see how much of that cocoa powder just pouring off. He doesn't realize how tight his dig turn will be and ends up just doing a couple donuts. Trying the dig, but there's too much. There's not enough forward grip and there's too much grip in the rear end. So now he's really got to be careful. Watch out for that left side marker. And hope not to get the belly hung up and pop to one side or the other. But he manages to stay up on the harder stuff. Drops free to the other side. A little wide out to the right compared to others. But he does have dig. So he's going to aim hard at that left side gate. See if he can't pull it around. Little bump turn. Almost got into Daphne's same predicament there, where he almost bracketed that gate marker. Can he get up over the top? Okay, he's cleared 5. So now he's free to do whatever. That's an excellent application of reverse. I find a lot of competitors, they're so worried about initiating a reverse that when they finally do tip into reverse, they don't take enough. I mean, a reverse is a reverse. It's not prorated. Like, go as far back as you can and get yourself the best line to come in next. Yella stays remarkably flat through 6. And if you're paying attention, Yella finished that using 1 reverse for 2 points. So that closes out the first half, and that moves us on to the second half. Moving on to Undertaker. The last shall be first, and the first shall be last. Yella ran last in the first half, and will run first in the second half. And Yella, you can tell by the attitude, is approaching this seriously. It has now become a point of pride this far in for somebody to clean Gate 1. Yella is using the maximum application of outrunner torque paired to a dig gearbox. To anyone unfamiliar, the dog inside the dig unit is basically, just think of a Y shape that locks into an inverted Y shape, right? But they don't fit tight. There's a decent amount of slop in there. So when Yella actuates dig and then gives the front wheels a wiggle, the rear axle, though locked, can kind of shimmy. Like, the rear wheels can roll back and forth about a half an inch. It has about an inch of just play, like a dead band. So when he wiggles, he can kind of maneuver his rear end and kind of act like reverse. Right up here, it's going to go still for just a moment because the judges debated over this, and a gate is dead once it is cleared. And after reviewing this many times, we believed that right here, Yella has cleared that gate. He's broken the plane right here. He's broken the plane of that gate. So he has cleared this gate. So now if he strikes any gate marker, it will not impact his score. The judges took it to review and pored over it because both rear wheels have to break the plane, the invisible line that goes between the 16 and the 42, the numbers on those 2 tennis balls. And we believe he broke that plane. Now, if we were going by the strictest of scorings, you know, in real, I'm making air quotes with my hands again, in real scoring, the gates are always live. But we get to make up our own rules because this is our house, so we do what we want. And he cleared that gate. That gate is dead. And he only hit it right there because I think in the moment, I don't think Yella knew if he had cleared it or not. He could have just slid down the side, pulled it around, and, well, saved a lot of time. He comes through gate 1 without a problem. Up through gate 2, clean there. See how the holds. Ooh, some more J.J. Abrams lens flare there. See how the holds hold on this section. That was a little unceremonious drop, but it did hold in pretty well. See, like I say, with the bars, unless there's some attitude on the tire, they just want to slide sideways. They're a very strange tire, but they are remarkably effective. And Yella does what no one has done till this point and strikes the left-hand marker at gate 3, which was basically hidden under a rock. And I have to say that's the holds. Like, those are the only tires that would hold him on there hard enough to get to that gate, but also, due to their odd lug pattern, slide him enough that he could actually get over there and hit that gate. He holds up here quite well. I think he was digging on the way down, and from the one angle it looked remarkably tight, and it's not as tight from the other angle. He's just trying not to get too much weight transferred like that. But somehow, and this is another one, where we poured over it, trying to see if he struck that gate. But the attitude of the arrow did not appear to change. Unfortunately, even with two angles of it, we couldn't really see. And in the moment when he's running, it's virtually impossible to tell if he has contacted a gate, unless it's, you know, unless it's so obvious that the gate gets pulled under the rig and spit out the back. Some of these little brush touches, they are impossible to see. So obviously we're going to see an application of dig, but this is this is river rock and concrete, so sometimes it's more grip than I think the competitors would ultimately want. Yella's having to steer both directions to get through this gate. Manages his way through with some little bit of drama. He had drama in the middle and struck one gate. So far as the official scoring goes down, he hit gate 3, quite obviously, for 7 points. Daphne is not here to mess around. She's always been no nonsense. She knows she's going to strike 7. She doesn't have extra tools. She doesn't think the deep woods are up to the task of scaling that sheer face with dirt at the bottom of it. She just wants to see how well she can hold on up here across this top edge. And see the deep woods with the different shaped bars. They handle this, I would say, a lot better. She's not even really pushing. I don't think she ever even made any contact with the big croissant shaped rock there. She was turned tight inside of it. Let's see what kind of torque she's got to drag brake her way down this. She does a little batarang move. That's just using forward. So she's now perfectly lined up between the markers. And I think she's trying to power it all the way around, but then thought better of it and just came straight down in reverse. Just, you know, soak up the 2 points. Gonna take it nice and slow up through 5. Too many competitors, even here just past the halfway point, too many competitors have made contact on gate 5 by just not taking it seriously. It's very uneven there in the middle, and it's one of the only sections here where you've got a combination of two things. You've got slab and you've got river rock right together. Daphne with dig would have saved 2 points right there. She presses right through. And I'm thinking back to the scorecards that were provided. Oh no, 2 reverse, 2 gates, 18 points. Yeah, that is correct. Up next, up last. Is this last? This is last. The Tranquish. The Tranquish, armed with much the same tools that Yella has, is going to take an honest bite at gate 1. He's been pushed too far to one side. And try to dig down and right over the top of it. So not quite as quickly as Daphne just went through. Tranquish ends up in the same spot. Just no one has the pure grip so far to make it up that or stay tidy enough to get in between the markers when they do clear it. Tranquish trying to dig. He has slid pretty far over, and he has struck gate 2. So Tranquish is coming out not great. Like, I mean, we can hope for a strong finish here. Some good droop angle there. We contend that there's still a bit of suspension work that needs to be done on the Tranquish. Like, it feels like everything should just sit lower. I mean, the body looks artificially high, but there's just something about his suspension layout. This goes back to chassis mounted steering. That was a moment of the tire got tucked under the croissant there and actually made him go backwards, which is not what he wanted to do. But the Landmines are a very grippy, very all-purpose tire. They would perhaps be the JConcepts Hyrax. They're pretty good at everything. They're not super great at anything, which, you know, honestly, when you're dealing with all sorts of varied terrain like this, it's kind of what you want. Some dig there saved that rear end from going over the front. His front end is just completely buried in, and he has popped gate 4. So the Tranquish is having just a dog's dinner of a day. It can't all be perfect runs. Now he's got himself in a real side attitude. He's just trying to finish this, you know, trying to keep his head in the game. That's perhaps too far to the right for that. He could have swung it out wider. It's just, let's chalk it up to mental errors on the part of the Tranquish. Got a millimeter away there from striking 5, which would have been 4 gate strikes if he had hit that. So he opts to take the lower points, a 2-point penalty for reverse instead of hitting another gate. You know, sometimes you have a bad day. In the, we'll call it the preliminaries. In the preliminaries, Gate Rover had a very bad day. So we'll see if Gate Rover has a chance to redeem himself. This Tranquish is spinning it around, trying to get just the right amount of grip. He's lined up pretty well there. And then fell off the side of that Riverstone and almost hit gate 6. So I would say, in all honesty, no hacks against the Tranquish. He's a great guy, but he almost hit every gate. Was just untidy throughout the whole day. So Tranquish closes out Group C with an unseemly 25 points, which brings us to the leaderboards and the standings. This is the wrap-up. And I don't think you have to be a mathematician to figure out that the Tranquish probably didn't win the day. Round 1, 1 gate, 1 roll for 17. Daphne, a little bit better, pulled a 16. And Lil Yella dominated that first 6 gates with just 1 reverse. Tranquish then had a bad day of it, pulling 25 points on Undertaker, which really truly does not help his cause. Daphne, I mean, if we value consistency overall, that's pretty good. And Yella finished it out with, again, if memory serves, one of the strongest performances. Which gives us our totals for the group. 42 points for the Tranquish, not great. 34 for Daphne, not terrible. And a single-digit 9 for Lil Yella, giving our obvious winner for the day. Lil Yella takes Group C quite handily. And we will see how that affects everyone in the standings, where Yella, of course, leaps to the front, 20 points ahead of second place. And then it's really tight for the next. I mean, there's 5 points between second place and 5th place. Colonel Mustard remains there in last. It's looking like he's the automatic elimination at this point where we are just past halfway through. The names in yellow are provisionally the rigs that will be in the elimination round as the scores stand for today. The scores in white are on the bubble, and if I did the mental math right, Lil Yella is guaranteed to pass through with that score. I don't think there are enough rigs to run that could knock him out of the bubble, so he will stay in first. And that's it for Group C. Group C was kind of all over the place, and now nothing left but the voice of the outro. And then coming up next, Group D. And it's pretty simple. After the round of 16, whoever's name is red, they're instantly eliminated. No second chances. Then after that, after all the rounds, we take the 4 highest scores, not including the one that's been eliminated, and they are put in the elimination bracket, and they will face off in a single elimination 6-gate, where only the lowest score survives, and the other 3 are eliminated. Because this leaves us a nice round number. There will be 12 remaining, and they will all move on, and they'll do it again, because that's how we play the Invitational.